Hey guys, welcome back to Fully Defined. I'm Chris, and this is the Build and Learn series, where LEGO builds and SolidWorks skills come together. In this video, we're starting to put together the wheel hub assembly as the parts that connect the wheels to the main body of the buggy. There's 4 instances of this little subassembly, and this subassembly is not an external component. We save it what's called in context. It's saved within the general assembly. And knowledge of that tool will save you a lot of time in future projects. So let's check it out. All right, starting to get some fun stuff with some wheels. Now here we have multiple parts being used. 4 of each of these. 4 of those. 4 of the axles, I believe they'll be called. You check that in a minute. And then 4 of the little grey connectors. Getting exciting that I'm starting to empty out this bucket here. Parts. Still a few to go, but good progress. Instructions. We're going to make... this is maybe a good example where we can use a subassembly. Reason being, we're using 4 of the same thing. And in fact, even step 44 has the next 2 parts exactly the same. And then I would expect that when we get to steps 68 at the end with the wheels, we're doing the same thing again. So cool, let's do a sub-assembly. All right, let's find those parts. So we have some black parts. We have this one. We have, what else? That and that, grey. So an axle and a half pin. Okay, Technic part. Let's have a look at the Technic part. 3D. Now, what Technic parts have we created already? I think just as a grey part here. Can we use this? Probably. You know what? It's only the holes that really we'd be using, so I think we'll just create this from scratch. So, new part, it's got a flat section on the bottom. So, flat section on the bottom here, as we can see, it's got those kind of indents. The size of this should be like 15, usual 15.8 by 7.8. Almost don't even need to check anymore. Thickness 3.2. So, let's put that in. And then through the middle has this round, the width of that. 7.2 and the full height 15.8. Hold shift, get the full height, and 7.2 divided by 2 for the radius. We can put in the through holes, and the through holes will match the dimensions of the last one we did. So the detail on these was through hole of 4.8 and then 0.7 offset by 0.8. So we say 4.8, and there's 2 of them, which means let's make them equal. And the spacing is going to match the spacing in these. 8. Just like everything else. Oh, not quite. Not quite. No, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. We need to cut away some material too. This works. This works. We can go from this face up to this face. And then we can do an extruded cut using just this section. We can go through both. Pretty good. Then we can go this face here. I'm going to convert these edges. I'm going to do a thin feature cut, which goes 0.7 this way and 0.8 deep. I'm going to mirror that so it's on both sides. And then there's that shape in the middle. Right now, this shape, see, it's got that kind of cut there. Now, it's not a through hole, but it is where they've cored the plastic out. So to avoid getting seek marks or this plastic deforming, they need to remove that because that's an extra thick section of the plastic. Okay, so we can measure how thick it is. We can use that as a guide. It's quite small to measure 0.5, but that's enough. We do this before the mirror. So we just roll up and go here. Going to offset. There's a few things we're going to offset. We're going to offset these. So let's convert the outside and convert the inside. I'm going to offset it and see if we get the right direction. Not getting it there. Offset here, base geometry, and then this one, offset, reverse direction. And then we've got our little section in the middle. Now, this little section also has some fillets, but we can add the fillets after we do the cut. We just want to do this section here. We do not want to go all the way through. So we want to pick a distance, 3 millimeters, 2.5, and let's put in some fillets. Very difficult to select. We go there. 4 of those are looking good, a little bit bigger. Okay, now what we're going to do is edit the mirror and then include this cut and this fillet. And there we go. Symmetrical part. The bottom of the part has a couple of recesses as well. We need to put them in. Usual wall thickness, I think. A bit smaller, 1.2. However, there's a section through the middle that isn't cut. So we're going to mirror a line here, put a dimension through, and just trim So we've got 2 sections that we're cutting, and those sections are going to be offset from this surface on the top 1.2 millimeters. Now, how does that look when we do a section through the middle? Very thin at that point. What I can think we can see is some draft added to just thicken up these faces here. So then when you do a section, there's actually a little bit more material there. And there's probably some really small fillets on this bottom edge. I think we can see that too. So I'm going to put them in as well. Okay. Very good. Let's save the part. All right, that's the first part of our subassembly. Now, we've got 4 of those parts. Let's do the next 2. Next, we have a axle. This is a very straightforward part. Axle 4L with stud. We're actually going to start with the axle shape, and we can measure from the outside that it is magical 4.8. Now, I believe that it is not a flat shape. It actually has a bit of a curve to it. What that means is the outside shape looks like this, while the axle part itself is these 2 lines in a circular pattern 4 times. And then we can measure the thickness is 1.8 and move this center point back there. And then we've got our shape. So like that's quite a neat little tool. Now 4L is going to be, I think, 7.8 plus 24. If I'm measuring it, I'm getting not quite that. It's a bit less, a little bit less, about 30.8 millimeters. So we're not going to trim the shape. We're just going to select the inside. And we're going to go blind, 30.8. And we're going to save this as an axle, Technic axle. However, I think this is a part we're going to see many times. So I'm going to do the 4L as a configuration, which I'll just leave for defaulters now. But as I add configurations to this part later for other reasons, I will keep the 4L as its own size. And the stopping part, I think that's going to be its own configuration. So let's say, actually, let's add the configuration 4L with stop. Okay. So now we're going to add the stop on the end. What we're going to do there is go to our front plane, create the stop, which is basically just a circle. You measure that again, 5.8, and thickness, barely 0.8, maybe 0.6. I'll make sure that that's going the other direction. And I'm going to add a couple of fillets to the part just on this end here. Okay, we can see an injector point as well. We'll put that in just for realism. So an injector pin indicates where the part is removed from the tool by a pin that pushes it out. And these edges all have fillets, so I'm just going to just do it manually. Small fillets on there that round it off. Bit closer to an 8. Yep, that looks good. Okay, excellent. Let's insert. We don't even need to insert it yet. How should we do this? We'll get to that in a second. Okay, and the last one we're doing is the plastic stop. The very small Technic pin half with friction ridges. Now, I feel like we've done some of this detail already in another part. If we have a look, where did we see it? Here, this part, just at the end here, it's got the same detail that this one does. Now, to save time, all we can do is save as, put in a new name, and we're saving as a copy. We can delete all the features we don't need and some of the geometry we don't need. So let's just go through. There's not a lot here, so it doesn't take too long to do it manually, which means just selecting one by one to make sure we're not getting rid of anything we actually do need. Just delete face. It was there, so we'll keep that, keep that, keep that. This little thing, this fillet, we do need an edge there, but we don't need a fillet there, so we'll get rid of that. We want that. You want that. We don't want this. We want that sweep. Do not want this sweep. We don't need that sketch. And this sketch here, well, we don't need this curve, do we? We actually just want this to go straight up. And this whole shape was done with the sweep. So can we replace that element without having to redo all the other stuff? We probably can. It's just going to take a little bit of fiddling around. It's a small part, so we don't expect it to take too much. The diameter of this part is 4.8. And we're going from the top plane up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to roll back to the start. We're going to go on the top plane to a new sketch, 4.8. We'll just extrude the whole height of the part, which is 9.6. Okay. We're not doing anything else. If I roll down, that sweep now merges with that body. All right. Now, we obviously don't want that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete the sweep, but I'm going to go to advanced. And when I hit advanced, it moves from the option of deleting all dependent items to making that separate option. So I'm going to press yes, and it won't delete that fillet. I'm going to delete this sketch, and I'm going to delete this sketch because we no longer need them. And so I'm going to roll down. I'm going to delete this sketch. Now, we still have our features, our original features, and we have a new body that we need to move those features to. So what we're going to do is roll down step by step. In this one, we can see there's a sketch, and that sketch has an error. And that error, if we right click and go, what's wrong? It tells us it's unable to offset. Now it's unable to offset because the original edges are missing. We can delete that relation, just add a new dimension and reattach the missing relation. That fixes that element of the sketch. We also need to put it back on the correct face. And then the cut, previously it was going up to a vertex, but now we actually want to go through all. And with that kind of detail, 2.8, we may as well just put that in the boss extrude here, like this. Then we don't need this feature at all, or that sketch. It just simplifies things. Okay, all right, now let's roll down. Next we have this lip. We have this in the model. I can dimension it, 6 millimeters. One thing that's different with the original sketch, so I don't need it to be just on one section anymore. It can actually be the whole thing. So instead, I'm just going to draw that 6 millimeter circle, convert edges for another circle, and press OK. And now it puts that ring in for me. I do have to update the sketch plane, right? But once I've done that, the detail is done. Now I can just double check that the dimensions are the same. We believe they will be. Start to 7. Yeah. All right. Perfect. All right. Let's roll down another one. Now we have that cut through the bottom. It's going to be the same, but one of the relations is missing. This one needs to be vertical, and we need to add a height dimension. Okay. And that cut is now going through the right body. Extrude thin, similar thing. We just update the missing sketch planes and update the missing sketch itself. Now, convert entities, trying to reattach convert entities is challenging. We can go right click on the sketch, and don't think there's an easy way to replace this at this point. I think a feature is coming maybe soon. I'm just going to delete the relations, and I'm going to reattach those endpoints and make this line co-radial. Do the same thing on the other side. What that does is just reattach it manually without being a convert edge. All right. And then the last one was this fillet. Now those edges had all changed, so we just have to update those fillets. All right. There is our new part. This part looks good. We check it against the 3D here. We can see all looks really good. We can save it. We did that already. And now we can make our subassembly. So the subassembly is just like this. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to grab this part, and what we're going to do is put our subassembly in our main assembly as we showed on the previous example. But we'll do something a little bit different this time. Now let's just close some of these parts we don't need open. Okay. So I can bring in that. Just makes it easier for me to see which part is which. All right. Now we're going to make these. So this pin is going into this hole. Let's fix this part in place temporarily. And I'm going to suggest that face matches this face here. Very good. Now we're also going to align it. To align it, what we can do is use one of these faces on the inside with this face on the outside and make them parallel so that won't rotate. So that's going through the front. The other pin will go through the back. We'll use this face through here, this face up to here, and then to stop it from rotating, this face here. Okay. There is our little subassembly. Now, we're going to float this one, and we're going to turn this into a subassembly, and that subassembly stays within this assembly file here. What that means is that assembly is a in-context subassembly. It only exists here. Let's update the colors of those parts before we move on. We have light gray, we have dark gray, and so we have black, dark gray, light gray. Now, can't remember whether or not duplicating that assembly will keep the colors. Let's see. The answer is no. Because I'm making 4 duplicates here, we're actually going to apply the colors to the parts. Once I've done that and I make a duplicate, they will have the same colors. Okay, so now when we create duplicates, they will actually keep the materials. That's cool. All right, now let's assemble them into place per the instructions, which is 2 on the front and 2 on the back. We can mirror. Now we still probably should. So let's just suppress those two for a second and start with the front one. Go mate, face to face. Let's put this face, and this one and this one. Okay, that looks pretty good. Do the same at the back. This face to this face, this one. Flip, and then front to front. Nice. Now, I will mirror them only if they're going to retain their colors. All right, let's try a mirror component, and let's see if we can be able to select the subassembly. Yes, we can. Cool. They will keep their colors because those colors are applied to the parts themselves. There we go. Very neat. And we don't need these second ones, so I'm going to delete them. Now, the file names of those assemblies, you can see that just temporarily. Off-Road Buggy is what this file's called, and then there's a 31123 dash Off-Road Buggy is what they're called. I'm just going to double click here, and I'm just going to change them to wheel subassembly, and it's just a temporary name. I'm not going to save them as external files. I'm not expecting to use them anywhere else. It's just here, at least I can identify what they are. All right, file save, and next step. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate that. This has been the LEGO Build and Learn series by Fully Defined. If the next video has been released, it'll be on the top link to your right. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment below with what you'd like to see next. Your feedback is what motivates me to provide more content. See you in the next one.